Super Mario because Yoshi walked onto the map and decided to eat one.
Yeah, no, it should be good. There we go, cracking open the beers.
Baby's up.
There we go.
Something like that.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the Halcyon Frequency Podcast. What episode are we up to? Let me just double check here. Episode 32, coming out on Sunday the 28th of October. I'm joined by BloodyDrongo. How are you?
I'm very well today, thank you.
Glad to hear it. And also, not in the host seat, though he has kept it quite nice and warm for me. I've got BlindIRL here as well. How are you?
Hello. I just would like to ask a question. Since when did it become the 28th of October?
I don't know. Maybe I should say the 28th of August. Time
I didn't
flies.
even pick up on the fact that he
You
said
did just say
October.
the 28th of October.
Look. I've been unemployed for a week. My sense of all time has just disappeared. It may as well be October.
I was just going to say that I missed the part where you'd been, at least a 6-pack deep.
I've literally had 2 sips of my beer. I'm not that much of a lightweight. Wait until I'm halfway through it, and then we'll travel through time.
I don't know. The thing I'm drinking is only 5%, so how bad could this actually go?
Yeah, no, I'm on a nice 6% American pale ale that's brewed locally. New Zealand has a lot of craft breweries, so basically I go to the beer section of the supermarket and I just buy whatever can has the prettiest artwork on it because they get really funky with their art. And this one is like a skeletal statue of Liberty holding up the torch, but instead of the flame, it's some hops on the torch. And this is Yakima Monster American Pale Ale.
I'm drinking a Parallel 49 craft lager, which is like the Greater Vancouver area cheap lager that's made by a craft brewery that got too big and then got bought. It's fine. It's cheap. It's not particularly strong. It tastes better than most lagers. It's okay.
What about you, Drongo? What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a blended scotch. I'm drinking a Chivas Regal Altus.
Oh, nice.
See, this is what happens when they leave the three of us alone to host the podcast, is we all just start drinking.
Was that I think that was the gift you got when you left your job to become a full-time content creator, wasn't it?
You have an impeccable memory because yes, that is exactly where I got this bottle of scotch from. That's right.
I have an eye for scotch and whiskey. I've actually got a 25-year-old bottle over in the corner it's not mine, but oh, is it tempting. My favorite thing about this can, though, it's got a little blurb on the side, and it says, because it's Yakima Monster, it says, it sounds Japanese, but it's as American as having a BMI of 32. The Yakima Valley in Washington State, situated in the top left corner of the lower 48, is home to some of our favorite hop varieties. The tiny green flavor bombs that powered the whole craft beer renaissance from the get-go. Liberty is what this smells like.
I really wish they were paying us for this.
That would be nice, yeah.
Me with my beer, it's like, oh, it's fine. And then you're just reading this loving blurb off the side of your can.
If you ask me to describe the flavor of it, it's fine. I just buy it because I like the pretty cans and I find the text on the side funny.
To be fair, I think a lot of craft IPAs are incredibly overrated. I mean, IPAs in general, I can probably count on one hand the amount of IPAs that I think are actually good.
No, this is an
There's
APA.
a lot of very average.
He's drinking an American pale ale, not an India pale ale, though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Totally different thing.
Yeah.
APA, yeah. Yeah, my bad.
I'm a
love
big
the
fan of
story.
Dippas and Tippas.
I love the story of India Pale Ales, though. It's because they were shipping beer to India, and they needed it to keep longer, so they put more hops in it, and it turned up more fermented, basically. And I think that's cool. I love hearing stories like that. Like, you know, how many traditions, how many things have started from just like, oh, we just had to solve this problem this way. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's how bread started, isn't it?
Well, it's like how they ended up with gin and tonic being like a staple in the British Empire, right?
Yeah.
Is that they had to treat, was it malaria?
Yep.
And then to make the tonic palatable, they added gin to it. So, gin and tonic, beautiful.
Well, that's why I drink gin and tonic. You know, I don't want to get malaria. And I haven't yet, so it must be working.
Fair point.
I've developed this habit with a friend of mine where what we do is whenever we discover a brewery that's local that we haven't been to before, we go there and we try literally everything on the menu and then just kind of decide whether or not we like the brewery or not and leave reviews for everything on the internet, always under different accounts.
Nice. Very nice.
Very, 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 very long reviews. Most of the craft breweries in Vancouver are not very good. We have a lot of them. There's 230 ish in the greater Vancouver area. Granted, that's like 5 cities total, but still. And I've been to 60 or 70 of them at this point. And I've had so many IPAs and so many double IPAs and so many triple IPAs, and so many of them, kind of like Drongo said, are very underrated or are very overrated rather. But I've got to say, some of the best beers I've ever had in my entire life are also IPAs. So it's like, there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of really bad ones out there, and there's a lot of ones that have like completely messed up flavor profiles, and they just break everything by just putting too much punch in it.
Right, yep.
Yeah.
But there's absolutely delicious IPAs out there. There's this one brewery that we have here called Twin Sails, which makes this thing called Dat Juice, which is like a 7%, like really hoppy IPA, but it's like drinking a fruit salad. It is extremely complex and delicious, and there's so much of that kind of stuff out there. If you have to poke around a little bit and find the good ones, and not go for the ones that are just going for the absolute shock value. Like, it's only like 55 IBU or something. Unlike, there's like this brewery that I'm drinking from, this lager right now, Parallel 49. They have an IPA called Jerkface 9000, which is it's like 95 IBU and just tastes like hops. It's like, well, cool. So you have one flavor, and that's hops. I understand why people don't like IPAs now.
Speaking of lots of craft breweries in one spot, we actually have, like, this is perfect segue for me for my day as well. We have a place nearby called a Brew Town, and that is a bunch of small breweries and distilleries got together. They basically share this entire, it's almost like a small shopping center. And there's like about 4 or 5 different distilleries and bars. You go there, you can get all their brews and food as well. They've got a very big food culture there as well. And it's also like the perfect bucks party for like just a weekend. They've got surf, indoor surfing. They've got go-karting, paintball, escape rooms, laser tag, ice rink, all of this. Like, it is the ultimate just weekend or Saturday there. And I was actually there today. Not drinking though. I was watching the Trans-Tasman Boo-Hurt Medieval Fighting Tournament.
That sounds like a thing.
Excuse me?
It was.
What is a Boo-Hurt?
I don't know. Buhurt. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. But it was absolutely amazing. Like, it was full contact medieval fighting. So, all of these guys in plate with various bits of chain and their I forget the padding part as well, going ham on each other with axes, swords, polearms, maces, and just, it was just an absolutely great day out. And I had so much fun just watching it and cheering on the different teams, because it was Australia versus New Zealand. So the Australian portion was a bunch of people from different clubs in Australia coming over, and there were several clubs from New Zealand. So they had club matches, and then they had the Australia versus New Zealand 5v5, and then they had the Australia versus New Zealand 12v12. And it's not a big arena that they're in. It was actually incredibly amazing watching these really big, heavy armored guys just pushing each other over and going ham on each other. Like, yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was my day. I've got the live stream link here, and you can actually see me in the corner at part of it. You can point out the green and yellow beard. But yeah, that was my day, and that was out at the craft brewery section. So definitely, if you're in New Zealand, check out Brewtown.
Very cool. I've literally just Googled. So Boohurt is well, number one. The top question here in Google is Boohurt real? I can confirm for those wondering, Boohurt is real. Apparently, it's a modern day full contact combat sport which involves fighters using blunt steel weapons and armor characteristics of medieval times. The name originates from the old French word behud, which means to wallop. So,
wallop,
it's like LARPing, but not with styrofoam swords.
No, it's LARPing when you really get to beat the shit out of someone. Like, there was a bit of blood involved in some of them, and towards the end of the like when it got to the 12v12, there were a few guys with bandages putting on their helmets too. Like, wow. Got pretty wild. I've just posted the link for you all.
Kind of related. I used to build haunted houses a number of years ago. The town that I grew up in had this community haunted house. It was on the fairgrounds, and there were these 3 large barns that in the summertime when the fair would come through and they had like, rides and stuff set up, they would have like farm kids contests where they'd like show their animals, and they would give awards and things for like the person with the nicest looking sheep. But in the winter, these barns were all empty, so they would gut them and we'd build them into a giant haunted house. And what you'd do is you'd put in a bid as a group that wanted to raise money for whatever thing. So you'd be like either cadets or like a scout group or some charity group or like some sports team. We did it with our sports teams when I was in kayaking. And we would build like, one year we built like a corn maze in this thing. We brought in a bunch of corn. One year we built a forest in there. We cut down a bunch of trees because somebody was doing some logging on their property, and we built like this fake forest, and we had like werewolves in it. It was a good time. But one of the other groups that was always there was the Medieval Enactment Society, and they would raise money for to put on their events as part of the haunted house. But one year they had this dude on stilts in this giant like suit of armor, and people would come around the corner and there'd be these 2 dudes dueling with actual swords, and then one of them would cut the head off the other one. And that because he was basically on stilts, so like he appeared to be taller than he was, and his head was like in his armor. But they'd cut the head off, and the guy would catch his head and then beat the first guy with his head, which was a very fun stunt to like walk around the corner and see them just repeatedly doing this same stunt with putting the guy's head back on, cutting it off, smacking the first guy. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, no, this was a lot of fun to watch, and really good day out. Really good day out, and I've never really watched full contact medieval fighting, but I'm gonna be honest, it really made me want to go play Mount & Blade again. It was like, I'm never gonna stand in that ring and swing an axe at someone, but my gosh, I want to play a medieval game again. I think we will take a break here, and we'll jump into the games we've been playing. How's that sound?
Sounds pretty good.
Perfect.
All right, we'll be back. And we are back with the Halcyon Frequency. Can I call it a beer cast? Probably not a beer cast yet, because Drongo's not drinking a beer. He's ruined it for us.
Boozecast?
Boozecast, there you go. Anyways, I'm joined by BlindIRL and BloodyDrongo, and it's me, your host, Arch. Your host for today, at least. Usually it's Blind, but I managed to wrangle the seat out from him, so I get the comfy seat now.
Yeah, that just means you get to edit it, so you get to do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah, well, no, just enjoy. This is the grandstanding bit here is the payment for it, the reward for it. But yes, we're dumping. We're jumping into games now, and you're going to talk about Curse to Golf, Blind.
Really? Oh,
yeah, no, I've
weird.
Decided. I've volunteered you.
Okay. Well, so Curse to Golf is it's kind of a 2D platforming randomly generated golf game. It was originally released as a demo on itch, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago now, it feels like. It's the baby of a person who I used to listen to on multiple podcasts, not so much these days as they've all kind of gone on hiatus, but a dude named Liam Edwards, who works at Chuhai Labs, and this was kind of his pet project that he put out on itch, and it kind of blew up. It got a lot of traffic on itch back then, and was kind of deemed like the Dark Souls of golf. But it's a run-based golf game, and I'm not as hot on it as I thought I would be. So it's kind of a 2D pixel art kind of platformer style. There's various traps throughout the environment. There's spikes in some levels. There's sand traps. There's you have a certain number of pars that you can do per hole, but there are these statues that you can take out called idols. That if it's a silver one, it'll give you an extra 2 shots. If it's a gold one, it'll give you an extra 4. But kind of my biggest issue with it is it just feels slow, and it is a run-based game. So kind of your progression is you're unlocking these one-use power-ups that are basically burn cards. So whenever you're going to go take a shot, you're like, okay, well maybe it would be good if I could like change the ball's direction in midair. So you burn that card, and then when you hit the ball, it fires off, and you can like spin the ball around and it'll fly back in the opposite direction. There's a scatter shot where it'll fly out in all different directions, and you select which ball you want to continue with. It's got some neat ideas, and it does some kind of fun things with the concept of golf. It also does get rather deep with the mechanics. You do have spin that you control, so once the ball's in midair, you can decide whether you want to spin forwards or backwards, and the speed at which you want to spin, and you can use that to be pretty tricky about getting the ball around corners and into very specific spaces. But after, maybe about 4 hours of play, I kind of hit this wall of like, man, I really don't want to do this first zone again. And the game does have this thing where you can hold down the right trigger on the controller, because that's how I was playing. It was on the controller. It kind of just felt better on a controller than on the keyboard. And if you hold that down, it speeds up time, and you can do this for yourself or boss fights or any other kind of situation. You can speed up any animation in the game. But that feature didn't feel great because the sound just cuts out when you speed time up. It doesn't really do like a satisfying like rewind kind of sound. You know what I mean? So that feature didn't feel great, and so I just didn't end up using it all that much. And I don't know. I know that they just put out a big patch of a bunch of quality of life things and like tweaked a bunch of stuff and like upped the rewards at the end of every run. Which I haven't dug into much. I've seen all 3 of the zones. I died on the first level of the last zone. I haven't finished a run yet. It is 19 holes, and to give you an idea, the longest run I did was 15 holes, and that took me about almost 2 hours. So it's not a short session based game, which I think is kind of, for a game like this, I really would like a run to be maybe 35 minutes. But this just feels a bit long in the tooth, and not in a way that makes me really want to go back to it, which is kind of disappointing.
You're a big fan of roguelikes, so that's a heavy thing coming from you.
Well, this isn't a roguelike. This is a run-based golf game.
Oh, okay, yes. Yeah. You are very militant about roguelike versus run-based games, aren't you?
Well, I mean, they're not even describing it as a roguelite. The levels are random. There are multiple layouts that you can have per level, but you're going to see the same traps frequently. You're going to see similar things. Like I was encountering the same TNT trap multiple times. So it's like they're not that varied in that kind of sense. And I don't know. It's more just like a varied arcade game than even like your standard run-based game.
Right. Okay. No, it sounds like, because it's something that I've seen, and I play golf games with my friends. Like, we all go get drunk and play golf games. And so it was one that was on my radar that I'd seen, because, like, one of the most fun things we like to do is, what is it? Turn all the difficulty modifiers, turn all the weird things up on golf with your friends. But, yeah, so we like playing with a lot of chaotic stuff, but I don't know, this sounds a little bit too different to that, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's not even that chaotic, right? Like it is pretty straightforward for what it is. Like you're not going to be like, well, okay. So there are zones that can have curses on them, and these curses can be things like, oh, it just flips the map upside down, so now you're playing the game upside down with all your UI elements upside down and everything. And so, like, it does sometimes get crazy like that, or, like, super bouncy ball where, like, the ball will just bounce, like, all insane. But there's only 2 chances to get cursed levels per zone, from what I've seen anyway. And you can avoid them in most cases because there's branching paths in the little world map thing.
Right.
So, really, like, it's not that crazy. One of the power-ups is you can put a rocket on the back of your ball and actually, like, steer it, which is pretty cool. But again, like you're not going to be using that every shot. You're going to burn that one card, and then you have to go to the shop to buy another one or find another one in a chest. So you're not necessarily going to just have like 5 cards stacked like that. There is a mechanic in the shop where you can buy cards and then put them in the book, air quotes, which is basically you can save it for another run or save it for later. So you can do a couple runs and like stack up a bunch of really good cards and then come back and get them later, which is kind of neat. But yeah, I don't know. Like at the end of the day, the runs just take too long and they're not varied enough, especially in that first zone. And that first zone gets pretty easy once you kind of understand the mechanics of the game. Right,
yeah. Okay.
It's cool. I mean, if you're more enthused about 2D golf games than I am, maybe it's your shtick, but I think I liked the initial itch demo more just because it had that faster play session time.
So that ratings are, I like the demo more out of 5, right?
I mean, not really. The demo was kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
At this point. I mean, this is way more polished. I mean, the pixel art's great. The sound effects are great. The sound design is great. The music is good. There's a few tracks in there that I could live without, but like there's this character who's the tutorial guy named the Scotsman who ends up being a boss that you fight, and he's got like this like heavy metal bagpipes theme that plays in the background during his boss fight, and he's kind of fantastic. Like all of the character art, and like the game's super charming. You can purchase different clothings for your character as you're doing runs, and they have like a 1-bit version and they have a plumber version, which just makes him look like Mario. Like there's, I don't know, like the whole game is super charming, but it's just, I don't know, kind of, yeah. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
But we got a lot of other games on this list to talk about.
We do have a lot of the other games. And speaking of super charming, I'm going to steal one, and I actually got around to playing Slime Rancher. Now, I just want to call out something here. Basically, Steam lets you list games by when you got them, right? I got Slime Rancher in 2016. You know, that's how long that I've had Slime Rancher sitting in my list, and I've never actually played it. And I finally dived into it because I heard Slime Rancher 2 is coming out next month, and I was like, you know what? I actually want to try this. Oh my god, that game is fun.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it. It was so fun. I
played it ages ago and found it to be charming visually.
Yeah, no, it does have a really nice visual feel. They achieved that. The fun I had was in the controlling the various ones and sort of going, okay, I want to get to this spot. I need to find this creature. Because you basically progress by finding Gordo slimes, which are they're large slimes, feeding it certain things and they explode and some leave behind a key. Keys allow you to unlock the door and you get to progress into the next one. So that to me worked really well. I was quite good on that and enjoyed that quite a lot. And I then got further and further into that. There's little notes left around the various maps that are left by the previous owner, it says. And I proceeded to go through all of that, and I ended up finding that one, like finding the last note, and it was really sweet. And I won't lie, I actually teared up at finding the story, like the way it ended. But that's not unusual for me anyways, you know. But I really enjoyed it, and really enjoyed playing it with chat as well, because we had a lot of people in who were talking about it and watching it and sort of enjoying that as well. And yeah, the problem I had is that I finished the story part of the game when I still hadn't unlocked a whole ton of areas. So it was this weird mixture of, oh, there's still actually a lot to go, but all of my progression, all of my idea investment, my emotional investment is done. Now it's just grind. And that kind of got a bit too much for me. So that's actually where I stopped it, you know, because I hit that point of, oh, I have this now. I've lost interest. Well, not lost interest, but I have no major interest in grinding a lot of things, because a lot of it is you've got to do these repeated tasks for people. You've got to collect more slimes, get their plots, research new things, continue. But each of them takes like several days to do. And so it starts becoming a little bit slower, that it starts using time as the slowdown versus finding the Gordos and exploration. So I didn't finish it all the way, but what I did play I actually quite enjoyed. And so I'm really keen for Slime Rancher 2 coming out. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to play.
I didn't realize they'd announced the second one.
Yeah, no, it comes out into early access in September 22nd. So
yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah, I hope they have more green slimes. Like seriously, the green slime just is my favorite type of slime. And like they had a lot of funny ones. They had the ones that the boom slimes that explode, and the look on their face afterwards is like, what the heck just happened? And you know, they all had their own unique style and unique visuals and their unique actions, and I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, it's a very, very cute, very, very pretty aesthetic. It's very well designed there. It just does get a little bit bogged down in the, oh, enjoy the grind. I've still got 12 achievements to go, and most of them are like, do all of these things a lot of times.
I am looking at my Steam library right now, and I last played this April 29th, 2017, and I have 4.5 hours. If I recall correctly, this was like before any of the story stuff was in the game. It was still in early access at the time, and I remember people were asking, I think it was like a subscriber pick or something.
Yeah.
But I had people asking me to play it, and all I remember was just getting to a point with it where I was like, oh, I just do this again and again and again and walk further out into the kind of uninteresting world that you've constructed. Okay, I'm good.
It starts getting the... what I enjoyed exploring the world, but the further you get out means the further you've got to travel to get there. And
the further you have to travel to get back.
Yeah, and you can start getting teleporters and stuff, but you're also limited by only 4 slots. And that slot includes plorts, vegetables or fruit, meat, like all the chickens. And there's like 20 different kinds of chickens. And every different kind of slime drops their own different kind of plort, which is basically the currency that you collect and sell. And it's just... there are so many things there that it does become if I had 10 inventory slots or a backpack, I might actually really be able to get into that a lot further.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've not played it. I mean, it was one of those games that I was like, oh, that looks interesting, but there was never anything that stood out to me about the game that like really kind of sold it to me in terms of wanting to actually go out there and play it.
Yeah. What I will say is that I do not regret playing it. I'm glad I played it. You know?
That's good.
It was one of those ones that's always been in there. I decided to try it out because I'm in the middle of games. I'm trying to find something that can grab me. I think we played a lot of Dinkum and what was the other one I played through recently that kind of pulled a lot of time? No, I think it was Dinkum. And all of that. So yeah, I was kind of looking for something new to have a few streams of, you know. And it did well with that, and I feel really good for having played it. It was very, very good. And yeah, no, I'm keen to see what Slime Rancher 2 brings. Going to pass it over to Drongo, since you haven't had a turn in the spotlight. What's something you've been playing recently that you want to talk about?
Well, I mean, we were talking a little bit before the podcast about Formula One, so it seems only fitting that I talk a little bit about F1 Manager 2022.
Yeah, please tell me all about why I should buy this game.
It's set to come out on the 30th of August, although pre-orders have been able to access the game since the 25th. I was sponsored to play it last night, and it was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a very much a management game, as the name suggests. You basically are put in control of running and managing just about every aspect of the Formula One games. It's a game that is officially licensed by Formula One. So it has all of the teams and drivers, and has even got all of the actual people from the paddock and the various teams and the various drivers to voice their own lines, you know, even like the race engineers and people like that. So it's all very much true to life as possibly can be. And it's incredibly detailed in terms of, you know, attributing, you know, what you're going to research and develop in terms of car parts over the course of the year. You know, managing and running and developing your actual facilities and infrastructure as part of a Formula One team, managing your salary and salary cap, and then going into race weekends, actually going through and working with your drivers to fine-tune and develop their setup throughout the weekend through practices, then going into qualifying, and then going into the actual race itself. And the game is very much a simulation game. At no stage are you actually taking over and driving for the drivers, but you can issue orders to them as to, like, you know, okay, push on your tires now, use more of your battery deployment now, and things like that. And then you're also looking at strategy and managing the actual race itself overall. So it's incredibly detailed. It's definitely a game that is made for fans of Formula One. I don't see this as being a game that would appeal to a lot of other people outside of that world. And yeah, it's I had a lot of fun with it. I love Formula One. I'm a massive Formula One nerd, so it was great. I had a wonderful time.
So I have two major questions to kind of ask you here. First, what is your kind of style when you go into a game like this? Are you going to go like take over Red Bull and just like stomp everybody with the fastest car, or do you go for some mid-works team that's kind of in the mid-pack and try and push to get the occasional win, or are you like playing as Williams and just trying to get a point maybe?
Yeah, I mean, so my normal approach coming into games like this is to take over a backmarker team, so a team that is very slow, and try and build them up to being something competitive. I think there's something very satisfying about going through and really earning those, small victories and then ultimate victories, towards the end of a playthrough or something like that. Like at the moment, I play a lot of F1 2022, like actually the racing game itself. And so, that has been something that I've been doing, is building up my team in team management career mode and trying to build it up from the ground up. Last night, though, we did play as McLaren, which are pretty much like a midfield sort of team. So we were fighting to try and get into the points during our first race, and Lando Norris, one of our drivers, managed to score a singular point in the first race of the season. So we were very happy about that.
Nice.
Another question that I kind of have, like, because you said that it's for Formula One nerds, right? And I've seen the previews of this game. I haven't actually watched much gameplay footage. You said that it's for Formula One nerds, so something that like kind of will make or break a game like this is kind of the actual representation of the cars on track. There was a game that came out a couple of years ago called Motorsport Manager. I think it was also published by Sega. I ended up playing that a little bit off stream, and because I think I bought it for like $2.50 on a sale or something. But that never did a great job kind of representing the race itself. Like it was there, but it was abstracted. Like, how's the actual race representation on screen? Like, is it convincing as an F1 race, or is there video gamey moments where things just kind of, happen?
Yeah, I mean, so the actual race simulation, it can be actually within the car, and it gives you the option to kind of go between like a broadcast style camera and then like the pod view, so sitting just above the car or like on the front wing or whatever. And the actual, the on-track view from the cars is very convincing. Like for a management game, the broadcast quality is pretty amazing. Like it's comparable to actually, I would say, a lot of other racing games out there. In terms of, I guess, some of the animation moments, there are definitely moments that you would have where, a driver might lock up and it doesn't look true to life to what a brake lockup might look like. But the way the race actually flows and the strategies that you employ, trying to decide whether you do a 2 pit stop race or a 1-stop pit stop race and things like that, the actual way the race flows feels very natural and true to life, and the simulation was incredibly good. So I enjoyed that side of things, and I did play Motorsport Manager as well, and I thought similar things. I probably only got about an hour or two playtime in it because I just didn't love it as much as I thought I would.
I played a bit more Motorsport Manager than that, but yeah, not too much. Maybe it was like 5-6 hours. Something else that I was wondering kind of about is I know that the Codemasters Formula One games have had kind of this weird issue where they operate, like the other drivers in the races operate kind of quite believably until something unexpected happens, and then you just have these absolutely traumatic pileups of like 12 cars that just kind of happen out of nowhere. And even like, because I watched streams, there's a few different streamers I watch that play a lot of racing games, including ones that do like actual 24-hour races and whatnot. Every now and again that'll just happen in the Formula One racing games where it's just like, oh, that's not something that would happen in reality. Have you encountered anything like that in Formula One Manager 2022?
No, not yet. I mean, admittedly, I've only played at this stage about 5 hours of it.
Sure.
So it may be the case where unrealistic things would happen. However, not that I've witnessed so far.
Okay. I know I've heard some reports of like I admittedly this was maybe a week or so ago of kind of unrealistic things happening in Formula One Manager where you'd have like cars passing multiple cars like 5-6 times in a row and like just continuously swapping places and stuff like that. So maybe they've ironed it out a little bit. But
I mean, there definitely is a lot of overtaking, but I also think that maybe that is a symptom of people's expectations of cars previous to this year's regulations.
Sure, yeah.
Because there's, this year's regulations do mean that the cars are able to follow a lot closer and they are able to overtake a lot more frequently, which we've seen throughout this year in reality.
Certainly.
So yeah. I don't... there was a lot of overtaking in the race that I did in Bahrain, but it wasn't like a ludicrous amount. It was more just it was like, just kind of trading back and forth with DRS.
Cool.
And that kind of makes a lot of sense actually on some tracks. So yeah.
Well, I mean, as long as Alonso can tell somebody to drive like a lion, we're good. And then the last question that I have is like kind of bouncing off of the thing that you said, that it's for fans. You could also say that about like the Football Manager games. It's for fans of football, but at the same time, I've sometimes played Football Manager, and I know nothing about football because I like strategy games, and I like spreadsheets, and I like spreadsheet strategy games. Do you think that this would appeal to that kind of gamer as well, somebody who just really likes statistics and that kind of strategy game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that anybody who likes a really nitty-gritty management game that allows you to really get into the weeds of trying to maximize every little bit you can is going to enjoy this game. But I think the people that are going to really get the most out of it are people who kind of have a bit of a background in Formula One and kind of have that intimate understanding of, what makes a good car work aerodynamically, or, what tracks are going to favor high-speed corners and, as opposed to low-speed corners, what kind of aerodynamic setup you want to go. You can definitely learn that, but it's got so much really fine-tuned detail that I feel like you just get so much more out of it if this is stuff that you've kind of watched and learned over the years, watching the actual sport and being involved in, the whole circus that goes on around it, that you just get such a greater level of value from the game that is really impressive.
I feel like this game should almost come with a month's free Netflix, so you can just go watch Drive to Survive as a tutorial. Not that it's the best representation of the sport; it's a bit over dramatized, but it's fine.
It's a good segue to get into the sport. And actually, there's a few people last night. Like, I had a really nice comment earlier in my Discord. I'll read it out here. Great stream last night, Drongo. Not only did you sell me on F1 Manager, but F1 as a whole. You're very knowledgeable and you've made it sound super interesting. I'm really looking forward to watching the rest of the championship. So it's like, it becomes almost a great vehicle for promoting the sport as well, if you're able to kind of articulate the ideas behind it. And sometimes that's all people need, right? Whether it's Drive to Survive or playing an F1 game for the first time, sometimes you just need that little barrier to entry to be lowered a bit, or to ease you into it to make it approachable.
It's also a weirdly cheap sport to watch too if you're in the right regions, because it's $10 a month for F1 TV and you can watch all the races live. But this isn't an F1 ad directly, so
no. And also, I live in Australia where F1 TV doesn't exist, and I have to pay an extortion amount of money to watch it on Sky Sports. So yay. I
used to restream it for people, but it would they've fixed that, and I can't do that anymore.
I like the idea of we've suggested being sponsored by driving and drinking now. So,
if you drink, never drive. Heineken 0.0.
Yeah, nice. Good. Even getting the Formula One sponsor in there. Nice work.
Yeah.
Where's the fancy watch brand and the weird crypto scams? Let's get all those sponsored. McLaren exactly. is sponsored by an NFT marketplace, okay?
They are, literally, yeah.
Yep. But
jeez.
Yeah, no, I've basically had all my questions answered.
Yeah, look, I'm not knowledgeable about this at all, so I'm just going to smile.
I was going to say, Arch, did you get all that? Because there's going to be a test at the end.
Basically, I'm in high school all over again. I'll just wing it.
Excellent, sweet. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
My Discord, Speedy Tracks and Zoom Zooms during the races. Let's go.
I see that you both played Midnight Fight Express.
Yes.
What was that like? What did you both think of that?
Well, who starts? That's the question.
I'll let you lead on this one, Blind.
All right, so Midnight Fight Express was a game I kind of wanted to stream, but wasn't able to get my hand on key and didn't feel like doing a sponsorship for it because I was a little iffy on it. But I do often like beat 'em ups, and I do quite enjoy, or I did quite enjoy kind of the vibe coming off of a lot of the preview footage. Noticed it was coming out on Game Pass, so I sat down and played the first 15 levels today on Game Pass. There's 40 levels in the game, and they're kind of designed to be replayed, and you're supposed to get, the S+ ranking on everything. It's kind of got that sort of fighting game, like combo style of scoring. For anybody who maybe hasn't seen this game, it's a top-down, kind of isometric camera focused, low poly, ultra violent beat 'em up. I would not hesitate to say it's a pretty straight up rip of the Arkham combat. If you've ever played one of the Batman games, the way this combat system works is it locks onto a character. When you hit the attack button, will just home to the nearest character or the character that you're facing. And then from that, you can very easily, by either hitting keys that pop up above people's heads, or alternatively dodging around, you can pop from adversary to adversary pretty easily while parrying and pulling off combos and various key combinations to smack everybody and pummels everybody's head into the pulp, and make people turn into a fine red paste. I'm not sold on this one. It kind of got a lot of buzz out of the recent large shows that it was shown at. It was shown at E3 during a lot of those big live streams, and I think it's a solo developer largely, published by Humble Games. And I really enjoyed it until I kind of got to the sewer zone, and the thing that I think started to kind of make me lose it a little bit is this game's very much got kind of like a Warriors style to it. So you're beating up thugs, you're beating up street hooligans, street gangs, you're jumping from rooftop to rooftop, you're fighting on top of subway trains, you're throwing dudes onto train tracks, you're picking up a gun and popping 5 dudes, and just kind of sitting there and going, wow, I did some bad stuff, man. And then you run into the next room and you do it again and you beat some guy's head in with a chair. And it's kind of fun for that. And it's got kind of that Hotline Miami vibe to it, where it's like, oh, it's this ultra violent crime killing spree of like this weird sleeper agent that's been woken up. But I found the writing to be unpleasant to the point where there's an option in the options menu to disable all of the writing, which I did very quickly. It was just edgy to the point of being annoying, and not in a way that I want to read more of it. As for the combat itself, it's pretty solid until I started hitting some of the more complicated combos where it wants me to do things like half circles on a controller in an isometric game. No. And then they started throwing these plague bearer unit things where these guys are glowing green and vomiting up acid, and it's like, well, man, I was enjoying this kind of like Warriors pseudo-realistic kind of guys with stop signs and a sledgehammer aesthetic, and now you're spitting acid at me and there's zombies and I'm out. I'm sorry.
They jumped the zombie shark.
Those first like 8 levels are really cool, and then you go into the sewers. That's kind of beyond Midnight Fight Express.
That's fair. I think I would agree that the writing of the game is probably the worst part for me about the game. I was sponsored to play it because I did watch it, and I was like, okay, this actually looks like I could really enjoy this, so I did actually accept a sponsorship for it. I do think the writing is probably the biggest letdown. It's very much, I guess, trying to be a parody of those really old style, very simplistic, go out and, fight, and trying to be a parody of it, but also trying to be, like you said, a bit edgy and stuff like that. And it just feels unnecessary a lot of the time. Like it just goes a little bit too far trying to be what it is. Whereas I think it, if the writing was kind of refined a bit, that it could do a much better job doing less. So that for me was probably the biggest letdown. The things that I would kind of point out that I did really enjoy about it were was the actual soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack was really good. The combat itself I really enjoyed. The in particular, the thing that stood out to me was the way that you're able to interact with a lot of the objects within the world and all the different weapons and the little tiny attention to detail things that they added in, which they could have quite easily got away with not doing, but they did anyway. And so, like, an example of this would be that in one fight, you end up in a bathroom and you're fighting a whole bunch of guys in a bathroom, and you end up with a plunger as a weapon, and you can throw the plunger, like you can throw just about any weapon, and it will have an effect that depends on what weapon you throw. And so the plunger, if it hits somebody, will get stuck to their head. And like little tiny details like that actually really impressed me. I really liked that it kind of made the game and what you were doing feel a little bit more impactful and important within that. And, you know, I think the game itself, it's very, very fast moving, and it does have a sense of progression throughout the levels, and you can go back and replay levels and try to increase your score as you get leveled up and unlock new skills and new combos and things like that. And I also like the sense that it has it's level based, but it's also got an element of carryover progression as well.
Right.
It's a pretty cool beat 'em up overall. I think like kind of you were saying like the different effects. Like there was one fight that I had which is in kind of a train station level, and this is before like kind of the crazy like supernatural enemies start showing up. But like there's this one level that's in a train station, and these guys are like, these trains are pulling up on either side, and you can throw them down onto the train tracks and like punch them, and then later you end up on the train, and then later you end up trying to push guys in front of train tracks with two trains going by. It's a pretty cool level. But there was this one sequence where this train came out, and this guy with this big guy with a pipe who has a stagger meter that I had to stagger came out, and there's an upgrade that you can get pretty early on which lets you kick items in the environment at things instead of picking them up and throwing them, because almost any item around the edge of the map you can hold down. It's one of the triggers, and you kind of get like literally the Batman Bat Sense mode where the whole world just kind of goes like gray and you can see highlighted items that you can interact with. Picked up a garbage can and whipped it at this guy. 4 more guys come out behind me, and a guy comes down the stairs with a gun. One of the guys behind me had a knife, so I dodge rolled backwards over to the guy with the knife, knocked him out, staggered him, picked up his knife, stabbed him with the knife, killed the other 2 guys, threw the knife at the guy with the gun, dodge rolled over to the guy with the gun, picked up the gun. 3 more guys were coming out of that train behind the guys that I just stabbed to death, and I shot them all down and the level ended. And it is... when it works, it's super, super satisfying, and the soundtrack is phenomenal and does just absolutely pump over everything else. I just wish it kept that Warriors kind of aesthetic and didn't just go weird.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I don't think I was bothered by the fact that they kind of started introducing like a less realistic vibe to it. Like, I think the whole idea of it trying to be a parody of other games within the genre means that it was almost inevitable in a way that it starts to then tread into other territories and try and be in parody of that. And like going through the sewer levels and then getting to the end, like it's kind of building up. Like at the start of the sewer level, it's like, oh, do we think we'll see rat people here? And then eventually it's like, oh, the rat people are here. Oh, what's that mean the Rat King's going to be? Is he going to be like a giant ball of rats? And then it just gets to the end and it's just a random dude. Like the whole thing is like trying to be a parody. It's trying to be a joke within itself, and it's not taking itself too seriously. But I just don't think the writing is that good. I think it's the weakest part of the game, which I think, if the writing was better, maybe it would make that segue between the two kind of, I guess, stylistic choices, maybe make it make a little bit more sense, or maybe make it not quite as jarring as maybe you've experienced, perhaps.
Potentially. I mean, like, another thing that this game's very much aping on is it's aping on kind of the indie / low budget action film kind of thing, like, which is an area of like crime thriller that I'm a big fan of. And a lot of these movies are very light on dialogue and usually have a lot of flashback sequences. I think one of the few movies I think that is kind of something that I would describe as in this subgenre that did really well was Drive. There's almost no spoken word in that movie. Like there is, but it's very sparse, the amount of actual spoken word, and then just like littered with ultra violence between that. And I like movies like The Warriors. I like movies that, like, some I don't even want to name here to like out how bad I go deep into these subgenres of just like aesthetic violence, but they're taking a lot of tropes from a lot of low budget action films. And these movies, they do get pretty far up their own ass with the kind of absurdity that they throw at the screen, but the moment you kind of add in the supernatural and don't have some sort of conceit of, oh, they just gave you acid. Like, if the writing was a little bit more interesting and you weren't some weird sleeper agent that got woken up by a drone named Babyface, if the writing was a little bit more interesting and they thought through that, they could have put a conceit in there that would have made me believe it. But they didn't do the legwork to do that. And that just... a game like this, the soundtrack is so heavily tied into the game, like it's almost a rhythm game. Like, you are in the zone with this. If something just ruins that immersion, it stops being cool. And the writing was ruining the immersion. And then that enemy design choice just, I don't know. If I have to avoid acid vomit, I'm done.
That's fair.
I'll throw fuel cans at people, though. That's good fun.
I think to tie it back to something that you briefly touched on earlier, like, this is a game that's basically entirely made by one guy from Poland. So
yeah,
I mean, within the context of it being an indie game, I think it's a really good attempt. It's definitely by no means my favorite game ever, but I think it's a respectably good game. I
think it's pretty cool. And if you're not like me and you can handle, like, sharp, jarring changes in enemy design, I mean, go nuts. It's probably your thing. It's on Game Pass. I would classify this game as thereware, and I've said this about a few games on Game Pass in the past, where it's just like, I wouldn't buy it, but if I already have Game Pass, well, it's there. I'll play it. And I'll probably play it again, like, I'm kind of, like, grumbling about it, but, like, I'll probably play more of it. I might replay those early levels that I like. Maybe there's levels later on that I like, It's there's something there. It's neat, but it's just kind of there.
Yeah, I've never really gotten into a lot of those beat 'em up style games, but one I did get into. Did you ever play, either of you two, play Mad World on the Wii?
No.
I saw footage of it.
Yeah, so it was this Sin City-esque aesthetic where it was black and white and basically
made by Platinum,
blood.
Or maybe pre-Platinum, actually. There might have been still Clover games back then.
I think there were Clover games, because Platinum doesn't make sense.
Was it Clover?
But you said,
still?
Yeah, I think Clover makes sense. But it was
because
this hyper...
Platinum and Clover, or Clover merged with another studio to make Platinum, and they went on to make Bayonetta and all that.
Right. Because this was hyper violent, but it also had a lot of those fun things that you could really just grab whatever and do like, you grab the tire with someone, you could beat someone around it, then you could throw it on their arms, and that would basically link, like, they'd be stuck, and then you could beat the crap out of them. And
I'm just gonna say, do yourself a favor, Arch. Go watch some speedruns of that game, because there's a lot of jerking motions. It's very amusing. Very, very fast thrashing of that controller, shall I say? It's all motion controls, right?
Yeah, the biggest problem I have with it is quite simply, it was on the Wii.
The part where you have to play it.
Yeah, you can't play it now. It's on the Wii, so unless you have a Wii, you can't play it. And that bothers me, because I really, really, really liked it.
After this program's over, I can teach you the illicit magics of Dolphin. And then if you have a webcam or anything that can capture infrared and a Wiimote, you can play any Wii game on your computer.
I don't think I have a Wiimote. I don't have a Wiimote, so...
I could mail you one. I have 4. Also, you can buy those things super cheap.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's just a shame because I remember it so much, and it's like, oh wow. I think back on what games I had on the Wii, because I had a Wii and I really enjoyed it. It was the bowling, Mad World, and Super Smash Bros. That's it. I had more games. I had my Wii sitting there for so long. I just never really had any other games from that console stick out to me as much as Mad World. But, what have we got here? I've got actually something, I've mentioned playing Minecraft before on stream, but I have some exciting news about Minecraft.
Hit us with it.
Go
I beat
on.
the dragon for the first time.
Well done.
I actually got around to doing it, and I decided, because I was playing something else with someone on stream, and I was like, you know what? I've played a lot of Minecraft, but I've never beaten the Ender Dragon. So I'm like, maybe I should check that out. And I'd only been to the Nether. I hadn't found the fortress and gotten the blaze rods or farmed the Ender pearls to make the Ender eyes and all of that. And so I had so much to actually learn to do. And it was so great because my chat was there and basically guiding me the whole way, because I had some members who would, obviously they do it every Tuesday or something, because they just knew how everything worked. And, so in the spirit of finally getting around to finishing games, I finally finished Minecraft. And, absolutely.
The last time I really played Minecraft, it still ran in a web browser. That's me going, wow, I'm old.
Yeah, well.
It's like 2010. Jeez.
Yeah, I remember helping someone get Minecraft a long, long time ago, because they were like, oh, I want to get Minecraft, but I don't have a credit card. So
they couldn't send Notch $5 or whatever.
Yeah, and they didn't have a credit card and all of that. So, I mean, it was maybe some TOS breaking accounting through another game we played, but basically they gave me some stuff on that, and I bought them the copy of the game. So, yeah, it's been a long while, been a hot minute. But yeah, I just wanted to share that win. I think that was one of my wins on stream. Really, really nice. Thank you for the golf clap.
Yes.
In Minecraft news, because I've been playing a lot of Minecraft on stream lately, I died and lost my hardcore Minecraft world on Tuesday this week, which was heartbreaking.
I don't know why you do these hardcore worlds. Like,
it's easy content, Arch.
It's fun.
People watch and they revel in the Schadenfreude.
I am too bad.
And then when you
at the
succeed, you make all of the money. This is why.
I am too bad at the game, though. Like, I died about a dozen times fighting the Ender Dragon.
Look, I'm bad at the game. I'm not going to profess to be good at it, but I mean, the suffering is very sweet.
I mean, if you make me talk about CUD later, I can talk to you about suffering. So.
But I died to the Warden, which is the new boss creature that they added in for 1.19, and apparently it is the most OP thing I have ever seen in my life. And it's also terrifying. It genuinely is terrifying. Like, the sound design for 1.19, they really nailed it for all of the new content. And this boss is just, it is awful. Awful. It's just terrifying.
YouTube right now. This is going to ruin my YouTube algorithm.
Appearing like an upright, oddly colored cow. Like,
it's got a lot of health.
Are you describing me or the Warden right now? I'm sorry.
Of all the things to actually call the Warden, like, I look at it, I see nothing cow related to it.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't describe it as being cow-like. I'd almost describe it as being like kind of amphibious looking.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no,
So
from what I can see
I started again.
yeah, started again. How'd that go?
Yeah, good. I mean, we found a new place to live, so I'm happy.
Do you start using the same seed or?
No. Half the enjoyment of playing Minecraft is exploring the worlds and learning new things and stuff like that. Like I just really enjoy like exploration in just about any game, honestly. And so Minecraft, just exploring a new world seed, and the worlds, since they added in the caves and mountains update or whatever it was a while back, the world seeds are just incredible. Like the caves really and caverns are just so majestic. Like I've been, even on just default Minecraft graphics, which are not especially pretty, I have had moments where I'm like, okay, this is actually really kind of beautiful in its own way, without even a shader pack or anything.
I used to play Minecraft with shader packs and full-on texture packs. I actually switched to just using a shader pack that just basically made light and water look nice. And you still do get caught in those moments of, this is a really pretty game. Like, you know, when I take a break from a game, I tend to just leave the game running, especially if it's a game that allows it. So I find a nice visual scene to go and do that. And this one I just climbed up on some scaffolding and showed the starting area, because we got a little community server, and showed just the starting area, and it just looks so pretty. And the game itself is just an absolutely beautiful game in its simplicity, you know. It's one of those ones where the simplicity of it really adds to its strength.
Minecraft will still look good in 35 years.
That's it, and that's why you go
one of the great.
Yeah, you go for an aesthetic as opposed to realism, and you find there's a something that lasts.
Yeah, I think that's one of the great things is that and why it's so popular, not just with kids, but also people who are older as well, is that it's got that really kind of simplistic overview and kind of objective. Be put in this world and survive and craft things, mine things, craft things, right? Easy enough. But then it has enough nuance and detail even within the base game to make it interesting and engaging for people who want to go deeper and learn more, and make it interesting to older people. And then that's even before you even get into the whole modding community and stuff like that, and all of the content that kind of brings to the table as well, with computing systems and resource management, and can even turn it into like a strategy game or a management game more so than a real-time kind of survival game. It's really remarkable what the foundation of Minecraft really can mean in terms of its flexibility. And the fact that it's got this art style aesthetic that is not trying to necessarily be anything, it just is, I think is going to mean that it does have a timeless quality to it that is going to stand up in a decade's time from now.
Yeah. Do we want to do a little quickfire bit where we just talk a little bit about the other games? Because I know you've got a couple on your list that you've been doing, and I know Blind wants to talk Caves of Cud, but
sure. I mean, I can go through a quickfire list of the other games that I've been playing lately, just to rattle them off.
Yeah, rattle them off and tell them what you think about them.
Sure. I mean, so I've been playing more RimWorld this week because, of course, I have. Still think RimWorld's amazing. I've been playing Total War Warhammer 3 because the Champions of Chaos DLC and the Immortal Empires map campaign has come out this week, and that has been a bunch of fun. It's one of my favorite games ever, and the Immortal Empires campaign basically just adds in a giant world map with every single playable faction and allows you to basically go ham and paint the map red and really take it from being a very much harder target story-driven campaign to being a very much a free-form, set your own pace and build your own empire. And they've also added in a whole bunch of end game disasters to just spice things up a bit from just being the hordes of chaos coming down and trying to burn down the world. They've added in, I think, about 6 or 7 other end game scenarios. So there's a whole bunch of new content. And if you're a fan of either Warhammer or the Total War genre of games, I still recommend it. I think it's amazing. The other game that I've been playing this week has been Fortnite, because the new Fortnite season has come out with the collaboration with Dragon Ball Z, and that has been a bunch of fun. I like Zero Build. I still think Fortnite is a really polished and well-rounded game. If you like the genre, Battle Royale genre, I think it's still the best Battle Royale game. And it's been a lot of fun. That's me. Boom. Done.
Nice and easy. And I honestly have to give it to Fortnite, especially when it comes to Zero Build. Once again, it's one of those ones that does look good, play good, feel good, and I don't know, the devs, I get the impression, are pretty on top of balance and making sure everything's still fun. It is a bit weird to run around with Darth Vader and blow away Rick with an Uzi while Goku fires a rocket launcher at you, but no.
I think the fact that game has the budget that I would be annoyed if everything wasn't perfect. But honestly, like, even down to the netcode itself is just really genuinely impressive, and how well it plays even at 250, 300 ping. Like, it's just a really, really solid, well-built game. The movement and the gameplay and the gunplay all feels very satisfying and very smooth, and it's a really great jump in and jump out game, and I think it's good. I think it's underrated.
Yeah.
The one thing I want to add to this Fortnite thing is Epic Games have so much money, they had to get a bigger campus to work in, right? So it was like 2019, or it was a couple of years ago. They bought a mall, an abandoned mall, and moved their campus into that. They renovated it and moved in. In my imagination, it's still just like a late 90s mall, except just like full of like cubicles. And I really want to know where like the design pitch people who are just like calling all these companies or like taking these deals to put these characters into these games. I'm wondering, are they in the Orange Julius or the Toys R Us?
No, they're down by the water feature.
Are you sure?
Right?
No, I think that would be customer service, because they're going to need to like waterboard themselves every time they have to get called by somebody who's been cheating and is going, unban me.
I don't know. The cool kids always hung out at the water feature, and I imagine these people that are reaching around going, hey, we're Fortnite, we want to work with you, would be the cool kids.
Do you think they left the escalators in?
It's 100%. It's 100% the Toys R Us, because they're literally going down each aisle in the Toys R Us and going, what company, what IP can we look at today? Oh, there's a Dragon Ball Z figurine. Why don't we call them up? Oh, Star Wars Lego over there. Let's do a deal with Lego and aisle. Star Wars at the same time. It's 100% Toys R Us.
That's it. We're just gonna wait for the. Has there been a Lego version?
I don't think so.
No,
I don't think there.
I feel like it's only a matter of time, though. Like, really,
Lego doesn't like being near guns. It's a thing.
That is true. They do have a hard fast thing about that. Yeah.
Maybe they just need like a no guns mode. It's just all Super Soakers and Nerf branded Nerf guns.
Potentially.
Yeah, just imagine what they'd be able to bring in if they went, oh yeah, we're doing a no guns mode.
I feel like the fact that they were able to get the Star Wars IP, and Lego also has a agreement with Star Wars or Disney to use that IP. I feel like there's probably room there to make it happen, but they are pretty funny about guns. Yeah, that is true.
The ones being waterboarded are likely the IP lawyers that have to work out what brands allow what. Because, there's various things.
That is likely true, yeah.
Yeah, there's various things. It's like, no. Superman cannot do this. These are what he's allowed to do. So
the thing that I really want to know is, did that mall ever have a Walmart in it? Because that's probably where they put all their servers. Anyway, sorry for that side tangent. But I just love the image of them being stuck in a mall. What have I been playing? So I got way too deep in my own shit with Caves of Cud this past week. I played a character for 10 hours and died horribly. I'm not going to try and pitch anybody on this game because I know people who want to play it are already playing it, and people who don't want to play it don't want to hear about it. But what I will tell you is a little story of the apostle that we created, whose name was Yavish Divish, which my chat came up with. We were a Esper apostle. We started in the town of Yappa in the salt marshes, where they farm the water vine to keep everybody sated and so that we can live and drink, friend. We immediately had a water ritual with the local warden. At which point we learned some secrets about some local towns. We walked a few parasangs east and found a few other villages and gained some early quests. Went back to Yappa and collected the early game quests, which is pretty simple. It's go to one cave and collect a bunch of copper wire to get a strange device which allows you to communicate between villages up and running and repaired for the local tinkerer Argvi. And then we ventured down into Red Rock to investigate a strange screaming spider. We found the creature and killed it with our bludgeoning heavy weapon. At this point was a iron mace, which we then coined the name Admiral Smackbar. Because as we leveled up, we were gifted with the desire to name our weapon, and of course we gave it the color bees because that is the best color. And then from there, we are an Esper, so we use mind powers, and as my ego increased upon leveling up, my psychic glimmer became noticed by creatures in the far other dimensions of dark and strange places. It's the feeling of being watched without being able to tell where they're watching you from. And creatures from other worlds started spawning out of strange portals and trying to, let's just say slit our throat. So we dispatched one of them and managed to get away with some of their gear and escaped via a teleportation device that was given to us by Argvi, the local tinkerer from Yappa. After collecting all of the copper wire for Argvi and escaping from the strange portals, we ventured off to Baratham on a mission because through the copper wire we heard a strange signal, which we recorded onto a data disk. We ventured down into the caves of the Barathamites using I don't even know how to pronounce it, like chromium something, but it lets you basically open up sealed doors and learn how to build things by touching them. So moving through multiple sealed doors, we ventured down into the caves of Baratham and met a guild of quilled bears, very intelligent folk, and they directed us over to Golgotha to avoid the cloaca and step very carefully to not contract glot rot from the gaseous nerve agents that come out of the deep depths of that disgusting place. But before venturing to Golgotha, we wandered up to the 7-day silt to donate all of our books to the religious libraries up there and share in secrets with the ancient sultans of old. From there, we wandered through the many traders at the bazaar and found a camel person's trade caravan and purchased a nice set of boots off of them. From there, we ventured around and found a Hindran, which is a kind of a deer-like person, half deer, half human kind of character. And they asked us to head to their native village of Bela, which is very concerned about outsiders, and they're very isolationist. From there, we sorted out a local dispute where one member of the clan, I guess, had left with their two sisters, over a dispute as to whether or not one of their siblings was a sister or a brother. The sister was quite clear, they're two sisters. And we kind of went through a little bit of a whodunit in that village and checked in with the writings of Hemlock Cones and learned to be a bit of a detective and solved that mystery and ousted the old leader of the town and put one of the exiles in charge, hopefully opening the town up for the better. From there, we ventured off to Golgotha, where we fell down many tubes and waded through the deep, stungy depths of the noxious ooze that writhes down in that deep, dark place. Over time, we developed the ability to shoot lasers out of our eyes because, of course, but the problem with this is as you shoot the lasers, you lose the natural glow of your glowing skin from the radiating light that you have absorbed, which means your ability to see becomes worse. And as we fell through the final conveyor down into the depths, the great beast that lurks below unfortunately quadruple stunned me and hit me for like 800% of my health in one hit because I couldn't see it. So that character died, but it was a good adventure all the same.
Bloody hell. Yeah, that's quite a tale.
Caves of Cud's wonderful.
Yeah, it's the one thing I know about Caves of Cud is they tell their own stories, basically.
Caves of Cud is a 40-hour long RPG with permadeath, and it's procedurally generated. There is a lot of handwritten areas. A lot of those dungeons are like the dungeons that you'd go through in order. But it's essentially, it's like post-apocalypse Alice in Wonderland meets Dune meets a bit of Adventure Time with like, there's a quest line later in that game, which we obviously didn't get to, where you literally need to like take psychedelics to talk to a mushroom man and convince him to like infest you so that you can spread his mushroom spores everywhere. And then he agrees to like repair something for you. It's a great game. It's a very, very good game.
I'm going to be honest with you here, Drongo. I don't know what I expected from Blind on this. I mean, he plays Dwarf Fortress as well. Like, these kind of stories just sound the same.
Wait until I put the Super Mario Brothers mod into Dwarf Fortress again. Then I'll have some stories for you of like toads getting their arms ripped off because a Yoshi walked onto the map and decided to eat one.
Oh, okay.
Blood spraying everywhere.
I just like the sound of that. I need to hear this now. But I
for another show.
For a quick fire round, you two had some really long stories, and meanwhile I'm like, oh yeah, I've been trying out Hero Siege. My friends have been playing it for like the past 2 weeks flat, and I'm like level 10 and they're like level 200, and it's fun, but I'm being told it's basically a 2D pixel art version of Diablo 2, and I've never played Diablo 2, so
just go play Diablo 2, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard of this game. Is this recently just come out? Or?
No,
yeah, I think it has
for a while. It's
Hero Siege.
Hero Siege has been making the rounds for like 5-6 years, but they put out DLC pretty frequently.
I think it wound up in the radar because the base game was on sale recently for $1. So,
yeah, they discount the base game like 90-something% off pretty frequently, so it's like 90 cents or whatever for the base game. But if you want to actually play the game, you have to buy the DLC, and those are like $3 to $5 a pop.
Well, they've got what have they got? Basically a whole bunch of different skins that you can buy for various amounts, a bunch of different classes. So you start with a few basic classes, and then you can buy the extra classes. Including Samurai, Fallen Paladin, a Viking, and a Necromancer. It's kind of cool. But, yeah, as far as I know, the entire actual game itself is included in the base game. There's no, like, content DLCs. It's just different classes that you buy.
That's content.
Yeah,
really big content.
There's no story or exploration. It's not new zones, new items, new loot.
Sure, but it's your replayability, basically.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give you that. But yeah, we're going to take.
I think that's probably the DLC that I'm usually okay with the most.
Yeah,
because if you're only going to buy that DLC is if you're already committed and you've gotten tired of what you've already got access to.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's,
and if
it's
you've gotten tired of it, you've probably
game.
played a fair amount. And if it's $5-6 to play a new class, then I don't hate that idea.
It's super fair. It's just that it's deceptively cheap. That's the only thing. And that game sells really well because it is deceptively cheap. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, actually, there's like another $90 worth of content here.
That's how they get you.
Yep. It's one of those. So just kind of, if you're looking at Hero Siege for the first time and you're going, man, it's 90% off. Just like, be wary. Like, it's not.
All right. I think we are going to take a quick break now, and we'll be back with the news. I think the news is rather light, so yeah, should be good. We'll be back.
See you soon.
All right, and we are back with episode 32 of the Halcyon Frequency podcast, correctly airing on the 28th of August this time.
Hey!
Time flies when you're having fun.
Allegedly.
And that's what they say. We are jumping into the opening night announcements of Gamescom 2022. 2D Kiri is actually currently at Gamescom. This news isn't live from her. I think she's been quite busy. Her Twitter and Instagram feed is full of absolutely amazing pictures and things. I hope to one day go to one of these, but yeah, so there's quite a fair few games that have been announced. A lot of them are just like teasers and such, not gameplay stuff, but Blind, what sticks out to you?
Everywhere. And also, Everywhere doesn't stick out to me. I just want to talk about it because I think it's weird. Are either of you guys familiar with Everywhere?
No, I'm not.
No, not at all.
Or the developer Build a Rocket Boy?
No.
No.
Okay, so do you know who Leslie Benzies is?
No.
Okay. Leslie Benzies was one of the higher-ups at Rockstar up until the completion of Grand Theft Auto 5. At which point, once Grand Theft Auto became more of an online MMO type deal, I just dropped a coin that I was fiddling with, so hopefully that didn't pick up on the microphone. Anyway, he was their finisher. He was the guy that they would call when they needed a game to ship, and he would show up and project manage the game to existence. He also worked on Red Dead, and he was on like a long-term sabbatical. And they actually called him in to finish Red Dead 2 specifically. Shortly after the release of Red Dead 2, he left Rockstar proper and went and founded Build a Rocket Boy to develop a game called Everywhere. And it was going to be a game about everywhere. And they've put out this teaser trailer, which is absolutely bonkers. It seems to have absolutely no cohesion, but also seems to be a bit of everything, and also kind of looks like a Battle Royale game, but kind of not. And supposedly it's this massively multiplayer MMO thing. I don't know what it is. It's weird, but there's like enough cred behind the team that's working on this thing that it's either going to not be noticed by anybody and be the biggest flop of all time because of how much money has been put into this thing, or this might be the next Fortnite. It's one of the two.
I'm literally watching a video of it now, and I don't understand what I'm
exactly
looking at.
It's crazy.
It looks interesting, yeah.
But like this is a guy that shipped Grand Theft Auto 4, 5, and Red Dead 2. So
yeah, fair.
There's cred here for the industry, and this is the first time we've seen anything of Everywhere. I mean, the first, I think, like they trademarked the name in like 2018. I see it was probably like the last time I heard about it. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 2017 even. But it's like they've been working on this for 5 years now, so this thing's been in development for a while. And they've just got that one teaser, which is bananas. Kind of in the same way that Fortnite's bananas. But I don't know. It's like there's guns. It's kind of like there's cars. There's lots of different environments that don't fit together at all. A lot of different art styles and aesthetics. I don't know what it is.
Too ambitious. It's sounding too ambitious to me, to be honest.
I'm shocked they haven't said it's on the blockchain yet. Like it's... It's like it's everything in one thing and it's everywhere, which kind of fits, right?
The problem is games can't be everything. They need to decide what they are.
Everything already is a video game and it's fantastic, okay? Have you actually played Everything?
No, I have not.
I should gift you Everything. I think you would like
all
Everything.
Right.
You can be a deer.
I'll have to play Everything and Everywhere at the same time all at once.
Now, that might be copyrighted. I think somebody else used that. It's Everything, not Everywhere. Anyway, confusing names aside.
Yeah.
BloodyDrongo, you pick one from the list to talk about.
Well, I was just going to talk about the game that I was particularly interesting at Gamescom when I saw that it got announced was Goat Simulator 3. And
I
some
love
might
their
say,
marketing. I love their marketing.
some might say that they're trying to be too ambitious with everything that they're trying to achieve with this, but it looks like everything I've ever wanted.
I just like to remind people that this is made by the people who made Satisfactory.
Yeah.
And to
What
everybody
Goat
who
Sim is it?
And to everybody who bought Goat Simulator 1, you're the reason Satisfactory exists.
I did buy that. I played a good amount of Goat Sim, the original one. Actually, no. Maybe I didn't have it on Steam for a while, because the one on Steam I've only got 42 minutes, but I've definitely played more than that.
Steam had problems tracking time back in those days, though.
Another thing I want to call out with Goat Simulator 3, I think Kiri posted a picture with the banner in the background. You know, it's Goat Simulator 3, try it here, regret later. And I absolutely love their entire marketing, like from not having a Goat Simulator 2 going straight to 3. Everything they do is just, what more could you expect from a Goat Simulator, you know? And they just play into that so much. It's so much fun just watching. Like, I've never played it, but it makes me want to play it, and I will definitely be getting it when it comes out.
Well, the good thing about that that IP in that game is it's very close to release already, and it's open for pre-order now if you want to jump in there.
Oh God, really? Is that one of yours or is that one of theirs?
No, that's one of theirs. That's actually their official promotional tagline is "Unleash Your Gotential." 17th of November 2022. Pre-order now.
Okay, so I've got a confession to make. When you said that, I instantly had revulsion thinking it was your pun. And then once I realized it was theirs, it went away. So I don't know what that says. So it turns out
you're just adverse to me. That's okay, I understand.
Drongo puns, apparently. Or maybe the way you know, there is so much enjoyment. There is that pause, that anticipation when you're about to deliver a pun that worries me too.
Well, since there's anticipation and enjoyment, I'm going to take over this podcast for a second and say I'm excited about the Callisto Protocol.
Yep.
Like, very excited. I really, really, really like Dead Space. And this is some of the dudes that made Dead Space. And, you know, this is funded by Krafton, who are the Player Unknown's Battlegrounds people. But it's Dead Space. It's the Dead Space 2 that I actually wanted from the looks of things. It is ultra violent. It is bloody. This teaser trailer they have ends with your character turning into a decapitated torso. And yeah, the new gameplay that they just released looks awesome. It's out December 2nd, and I can't wait. I probably will pay full price for this game because I doubt they'll give me a key. And
wow.
I'm looking forward to spending $80 on this and just sinking into it for a weekend. Nobody's going to watch me play it, but I'm going to stream it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Drongo, do you have one that you want to pick out before we move along?
Well, I mean, speaking of ultra violence, they did reveal some more gameplay footage of Warhammer 40k Darktide, which is scheduled to come out on the 30th of November this year, which is a day after my birthday. So I think for me, this might even be a birthday present to myself, because I am slightly optimistic that this won't be terrible. I'm hoping this will be one of the Warhammer IP's games that is actually pretty good.
So
it's Thick Shark, so it should be fine.
The problem is they've been doing really well on Warhammer games. We're due a bad one.
Yeah, that is true.
Just go look through the app store on like any phone. You'll find 50 bad Warhammer games that come out a month.
That's the problem.
That is true. That is true. There is on the App Store. There is a lot.
Maybe that's what they've decided. Yeah, if they release all the bad ones on the app stores, the good ones that come out on PC.
Besides, Total War Warhammer is like kind of like that's a known thing. It's going to be at least decent. It'll be buggy, but it'll be good, right?
It'll be a Total War game.
And we already got like, oh god, I'm completely Stream on Studio put out their Doom Hive Planet game already. Crap, what was the name of that one that came out? There was a dog you could pet. That's all I really remember.
I actually have no idea.
It's the iDivine Cybermancy people that made it, who made the really bad. Hold on, I'll find this. They made the Space Hulk Deathwing, which wasn't good. Necromunda Higher Gun, that game.
Oh,
came out.
yeah.
That was.
I was literally
brilliant.
just looking at that in my Steam library now. I was so disappointed with that, honestly. Yep. I was really excited for it. I have played on Steam after waiting for that for ages and ages and ages. I have put in all of 65 minutes.
I have a question.
Time into it.
Have you played iDivine Cybermancy?
No.
At some point, when that game goes on sale for like $2 or $1, because it's a $10 game that frequently gets 95% off sales, you should pick up iDivine Cybermancy, which is like the game that studio made. That made them into a studio. It was originally a Half-Life mod, and then they have made it into its own thing. It's a Warhammer game without being a Warhammer game. It's literally like a Warhammer game without the license, but it's got some of the best guns I've ever played in a video game. Also, you can just like hack other people's minds and make their heads explode, and then like there's this headless dude just like running around killing his own dudes and stuff. You can like you can dual wield katanas. You can dual wield like a pistol that has 2 fire modes, which is all of the bullets and more bullets somehow. And then also have a katana and then go stealth and like jump over an entire map. Also, it's a Source Engine game that has no player limits on the servers. So if you are streaming and you have friends and you boot up a server on your computer or somewhere else, you could just have like 120 people on the server for some reason, all playing in co-op against other things. It's stupid. It is a really dumb, bad game, but it's like cheap enough that the weird systems in it just end up being awesome. So,
yeah, right.
I would recommend iDivine Cybermancy.
Fair,
yeah. No, that sounds really good. One game out of this that I'm looking forward to and I've decided I'll be playing is Genshin Impact with their 3.0 update. All right, now moving on to another lighthearted piece of news before Blind can comment on that.
Don't promote gambling with cute weeaboo waifus. What?
Gacha games have a place in my wallet. I mean heart.
No, they don't. They have a place in funding Chinese government propaganda. What?
So Masahiro Sakurai is creating a YouTube channel for talking about game design and the like.
So for anybody who has managed to live under a rock long enough to not know who Sakurai is, he's the like head behind this little puffy destroyer of worlds called Kirby. He created Kirby and also, has been the front man at Smash Brothers for the entirety of Smash Brothers' existence. He started a YouTube channel because he's no longer the head of Smash Brothers. He's like stepped back a little bit. Like he's still managing it, but he's taken a step back from that. And he's working on and producing little 5-minute videos about game design. And he's already got 5 videos up on the channel. He started uploading 3 days ago, and he's already got 322,000 subscribers. But like, they're really neat little videos. Like they're all in Japanese, but they've got subtitles and they're very well captioned. And he talks about like what is a frame in frame rates. He talks about like highlighting big moments in a fighting game and how to make a fighting game feel satisfying. He talks about making Kirby and Kirby games for the Game Boy. It's just a really cool little kind of wholesome channel, and you get to watch Sakurai talk about making games, which he gets really excited about, and he's entertaining.
Yeah, one thing I really like about this, and I'm hopeful for this, like this is my idea of what I'd love to see from the channel, is whenever I look at people who play Super Smash Bros. Any more than, on the couch with their mates, they talk a lot about various iframes, they talk about a lot about, ticks, a lot about this, and it gets very technical, especially when you get into any fighting game. Smash Bros has been pretty good at that. I would love to see the developer side of that, because I'm sure they're having the same conversations. I'm sure they're planning out the same thing. They're not just putting together characters, throwing them out, and then all of the players are the ones coming up with all of this mechanics, all of this technical data of them. So I'm really keen to see that from that perspective. Fighting games competitively to me have always been like blowing my mind, because there is so much detail into what iframes various ones have, what movesets, what various things like that. Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we've all seen the Chun-Li Street Fighter finish video where he perfectly parries like every single kick from that move.
Or not. At the really, really big, I'm completely blanking on the name of it. It just happened, the big fighting game tournament in
I don't know it either, but I mean,
Vegas.
you Google, Chun-Li finishing perfect blocking, and like, it was absolutely great to see that. You just know that developers are also doing that, and I'd love to see that from the channel.
Yeah, I'm not the person to talk about fighting game events, but I'm looking forward to this YouTube channel because I just like watching developers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too for that reason. I'm not one to talk about fighting games and stuff, but I love seeing like this stuff broken down. But yeah, I think that that wraps us up for this this week.
Sure,
yeah. All right, quick little almost said reach around. Quick little wrap around.
Sir, I haven't had that many drinks, just one can of beer.
BloodyDrongo, where can you be found on Twitter?
On Twitter,
I can be found at the BloodyDrongo.
Nice and simple. And Blind, where can you be found?
everywhere under BlindIRL, BlindIRL.
Are we still doing just only Twitter callouts? Like, that's what I recall.
You're hosting.
Twitter.
It's your show,
not called only Twitter. It's OnlyFans that you're thinking of.
Yeah, where can you be found on OnlyFans? And I can be found at ArchPlaysStuff on Twitter. And yeah, that's it. But BloodyDrongo, you dropped the for the other channels, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, BloodyDrongo is a somewhat popular name for just random people on social media, so it does change a bit. But yeah, usually BloodyDrongo or Bloody.Drongo or Bloody space Drongo, Bloody_Drongo. Who knows?
Is there a .go domain? So I wonder if you could get
BloodyDrongo go. I have no idea. Maybe I have not looked into it.
BloodyDrongo. Yeah. What was the one that I looked up for that recently that we found?
I don't know. We're ending this show, so
oh yeah,
we should probably take it to the ending.
Fine then.
Where can people find this show, Arch?
They can find the show on Spotify, Google and Apple Podcasts, and anywhere else.
Where can they talk about the show?
They can talk about the show. I'm the host here, okay?
Okay, well, you wrote down that you're running low on time, so I'm helping.
Stop backseating me. Gosh.
It's 12:30 at night, okay?
Yeah. And they can talk about the show on the Discord, the Halcyon Frequency Community Discord. Is that what you wanted? Or
and then the website URL where they can find the other episodes of the show.
Yep, HalcyonFrequency.com.
And then ask them to leave reviews.
Yep, leave reviews on YouTube and anywhere else that... not reviews on YouTube. Leave reviews wherever you listen to this, because it actually helps us quite a lot and we'd appreciate it. BlindIRL will smile.
And I'd like to make a real quick shout out to Peter Pohl and Paul Mile for the lovely intro and outro and ad music.
Yes, thank you very much. It's absolutely good. And that's it for us now. So I'll have a big round of byes from you all.
Bye.
Farewell. Well, goodbye, everybody. Ta-ta.
Goodbye. See ya.
Bye.
Ciao.
funny that you talk about the buys being cringe and then just like emphasize that we have to do it, and you put more effort into it than usual.
All I'm saying is that, you know, I enjoy the cringe.
This is Halcyon Frequency. Don't change that dial. Signing